You stare and look at me, wondering what you see. Well, here stands the result of world politics and policies.
This is not an excuse or apology. Life doesn't always smell like a bunch of roses. The prognosis is my symbiosis of different cultures.
I hear the names people are calling me and I expose it in doses.
Yes,
being Kurdish is a part of me.
So pardon me for growing up without a home, family, and a land in the colony. Still a prodigy, still a skeptic. Always ask myself, why is life so hard on me?
Just give me one chance to grow like those flowers in a garden. See, all I wanted was to be accepted, not to be abandoned, chopped down, or neglected. Had a lot of anger, but like water,
I reflect. I found myself dancing in the rain. I can say I perfected it. Brown became colored leaves with beats in harmony. Now the storm is calming me. Unexpected, growing through the concrete. Yes, you can call me an oddity.
It's all connected.
And this is my odyssey.
I hope you get it.
Music is a remedy to my soul. The way I grew up, the people I grew around with, they were always looking down to me. Maybe it's the way I'm different, maybe it's the way they live. But music was my only friend back then. I remember listening to music for the first time, riding around in the car with my father, listening to music in the radio. He was happy, he was dancing and singing. I couldn't understand the lyrics, but I can see the expression. And that feeling hit me when I was older. When I started dancing, I had the same conversation with music. So my relation to music was beyond something that I can express to someone next to me. It was something within, and within music, I found myself.
tired from telling the story over and over and over for people like you. You think you know what's happening in Lebanon just by watching the news? Well, you know nothing. I live in a country where my simple rights are taken away from me. And I'm just surviving, I'm not living. Yeah, I'm living, but I'm living in a constant fear. Try to wake up at night and you're having a panic attack and your heart's pounding like it's gonna explode because you thought the sound of thunder is an explosion or act of war. And how am I supposed to stay motivated and to dance, to do the only thing that I love and passionate about? Or you're just gonna take that away from me as well.
أنا مولود في عائلة محافظة جدا. أبويا كان إمام مسجد أو إمام أكبر مسجد في الجبال الصناعية. فأهلي أول ما عرفوا إنه أنا أرقص البريك دانس، أبويا جاء وقال لي وريني. وريته وكانت إجابته سكوت، وكنت أحس إني سويت شيء غلط، ما كنت أحس إن أنا سويت شيء صح. ليش؟ لأنه في كثير يقولوا الأغاني حرام في السعودية، فما كنت أبغى أخرب سمعة أبويا، فكان هذا الشيء أهلي كان يعرفوا، بس في نفس الوقت ما كنت أوريهم، فكان بالسر بس يعرفوا إنه أنا قاعد أسوي هذا الشيء. بي بوي هي رقصة شعبية لثقافة الهيب هوب، تعبر عن فن الحركة، تعبر عن الشخص، عن حياته، عن أفراحه، عن أحزانه، عن شخصيته هو.
Do you know what it means to be Iraqi? It's something I'm proud of because we have a big culture and deep history. I survived the first war in Iraq. I'm now here living in the UAE. It became my home. It's very hard for me to find a job because I just finished high school. Even to travel the world and see the world is hard for me because I hold Iraqi passport. Because the people are influenced about the news and what's happening in Iraq, and they're scared from what's happening on the TV. Hip hop raised me. When I was young, I have lost my family, and I was looking for something to hold on to. Hip hop opened that gate for me to meet people all around the world, and those people helped me and taught me how to respect each other, correct me when I was doing wrong, and support me and help me when I was doing right. Dancing shaped my life and made me the way I am right now. Taught me how to breathe, taught me how to be patient, taught me how to stand up and get up on my feet when I fall, and boost me to achieve my dreams. Hip hop is family.
I am nobody. Nobody. In your eyes,
I am a misfit. A person that doesn't belong in society, and you won't hire me.
in your face, I see there's nothing more you would like to do
And put this nobody in his place. Trap between walls and make my spirit vanish in space.
I am nobody. You can keep your frustrations. If I don't meet your perception and expectations, does that make me nobody?
Because I don't have the same skin as you. I'm not as thick as thin as you. I don't wear the same clothes. Don't boast about who got the most as you. I drive a different car than you and don't speak as hard as you. But I tell you what,
I don't have a father too. So I guess you're right. I am nobody. I am nobody.
because this body cannot define me. I am a manifestation of light that kindly uses this earth as a playground to move with the rhythm of its soul to shine. See,
That is exactly the difference between me and you.
I expect nothing but keep my vision open to see it through. No walls that can keep my spirit down, and no square that can keep me bound. Since birth I shine with feet to the beat. I break to be free as I break so I can be me.
Nobody.
Ja, kom op dit. Family is everything for me. That's the foundation of my life. It's what I come back home for. That's everything to me. I think the most challenging thing was the acceptance of my family with my choice of career. And even though I help and put work in with them because we run a shop, at the same time I want to pursue my dreams, so that balance is really hard.
يلا
عندي سؤال. ولا مرة سألتك إياه.
معقول
تذكري أول مرة رقصت فيها؟
إيه بتذكر كنت بصف الباكوان بتذكر أنا
مظبوط. والله ذاكرة أكتر من
قلت لك تعلمني رقص كتير انبسطت أنا لأنه عن جد أنا بحب الرقص يعني أنا وصغير كنت بتمنى إني أتعلم رقص بس الظروف ما كانت عم تسمح لنا.
طيب شو هذا كان رأيك فيه؟ أول ما بلشت يعني ما خفتي على إنه آخذ هيك كارير
لا
وهيك
بالعكس
مسيرة؟
قلت لك بالعكس ليه بدي خاف ليه بدي خاف
لأنه كتير الأهل بخافوا إنه حدا ياخذ طريق فن بس.
لا بالعكس أنا مش ضروري إنه يكون هيدا شغلك يعني هواية هي.
طيب أي أكتر لحظة كنت فخورة فيه بالرقص؟
لما كنت ترقصي على المسرح والعالم تهيص لك ولانا
ها أكتر شيء ما بتتذكريها يعني؟
لما أشوفك على التي في كمان
كمان؟
كتير حلو.
When I was 23, it was a shocking moment for me that I lost my mom, and she was suffering from cancer for 4 years. And after exactly in 1 year, my dad passed away from a heart attack, and I believe that my mom's death affected him a lot. And after that, also my older brother passed away in Iraq. So it was kind of a shock moment for me, and it affected my life in a way that it gave me a responsibility in a young age. Also, it taught me a lot how to take care of the family and how to continue the foundation and the essence and rules of the house that my dad made before he passed away, and I gotta take that and keep it and going as a brother and a father and a friend with my sisters. but at the same time I continued my passion, and I did what I love, and I stayed rocking and shocking.
قعدت أتساءل مع نفسي هذا الشيء ليش غلط وليش الناس تشوفه غلط. فكنت أشوف أنا من فين جاي أصلا. أنا مولود في بيئة محافظة جدا على الإسلام، فبديت أسوي الهيب هوب أو أعيش حياة الهيب هوب بطريقة أني أنا أكون مسلم وما أسوي، يعني أخذ الأشياء الكويسة في الهيب هوب والأشياء اللي تتعارض مع ديني أوخرها على جنب. ومنها بديت أشوف إنه الشيء اللي أسويه ما هو غلط، الشيء اللي أسويه أصلا قاعد يساعدني كإنسان.
In my region, usually getting a job would take a certain look. If you're white, you'll probably get a job faster than someone with a dark skin. And even with traveling, you know, authorities will always have the outlook of how you dress and what's your skin color. The way I dress and the way I look always got me into situations with traveling abroad, you know, being searched multiple times, that I had to deal with that at a young age. It really taught me how to better myself, be professional, be a gentleman, just have good manners, you know. It's a life lesson.
طب شو بتتمني لي؟ هات لنشوف.
بتمنى لك تحققي كل شيء بتحلمي فيه.
شكرا.
خصوصي بالرقص، لأنه أنت عندك شغف بالرقص، يعني بتعمليه عن حب.
مزبوط. بس بتعرفي إنه كانت شيء كتير صعب علي. لما بلشت ما كان في غيركم مشجعني، وأكيد هذا الشيء أنا كتير بقدره. وبتعرفوا أنا بتشكركم على هذا الشيء، لأنه كان بلبنان ما في أبدا دعم، وأصحابي ما كانوا داعميني، وكل العالم كانوا ضدي بهذا الموضوع. كنتوا أنتوا بس اللي مشجعيني، نمبر 1 سبورتر. فأكيد يعني لو ما هيك ما بوصل بتكوني فخورة فيه يعني.
هلا شكرا. شكرا لك. بس لا عن جد أنت تعبت كتير. بتعرفي بلبنان هون ما كتير بيهتموا بالرقص وبالفن، فأكيد تعبت كتير تعبت على حالك، وأنا بقدر لك هالشغلة، أنا اللي بقدر لك إياها.
ميرسي
حبيبتي.
طب وين الشاي؟ ما فهمت هلا. بدنا شاي.
يلا عم بعمل الشاي.
هداوتي كبرت وياي، كيف تشوفين الرقص يمثل عني بحياتي؟
يعني أحس شيء شلون نفس بالنسبة إلك، يعني شلون إحنا نقدر يعني عندنا أشياء مثل مي هواء كذي بالنسبة لنا، أنت مثل الهواء بالنسبة إلك،
كأنه هو عايش فيك وأنت عايش فيه،
متعلق
يعني
فيه يعني
صار مثل الباشن بالنسبة لك، عارف شلون؟ ومثل خلينا نقول هي صارت وسيلة للسعادة بالنسبة لك يعني. فشيء حلو انك انت استمريت فيه يعني وطورت فيه من نفسك يعني، خاصة انك تحس بالراحة فيه بعد.
اخترت ان البريكنج ما يكون كوظيفة لي. ما ابغى فلوس تجيني عن طريق البريكنج. ليش؟ لانه احس لو مشيت في هذا المجال انا حتغير، البريكنج حقي حيتغير، حيصير انا ابغى اسوي اللي الناس تبغاني اسويه، مو ابغى اسوي البريكنج زي ما انا ابغى اسويه. فهذا اللي خلاني اختار انه تكون في وظيفة اخذ منها فلوس غير البريكنج. غير كذا اصلا لان صعب جدا انه تاخذ البريكنج كوظيفة في السعودية. الناس ماخذين عن البريكنج شيء غلط. ما الوم الناس هنا، بس الوم الميديا نفسها انه ما طلعت بريكنج بصورته. فاذا ابغى اصير ستريت ارتست لازم ابدا افهم الناس ايش هو الفن هذا او الهيب هوب ايش هو اصلا، بعدين ابدا اوريهم الشيء اللي انا اسويه.
I think society will always look at me and other street artists as entertainers. The entertainment, it's a business. It's not really focused on craftsmanship, and artists are really the people behind the scene putting in work.
In Lebanon, we don't have support or opportunities for this type of dance, and there's no competitions, there are no jams. But in UAE, I come for competitions and jams, and as well I got invited to judge in a battle, and this is a big deal for me. But the thing, I see a lot of dancers here in the UAE, but no one is actually representing the country, and this should happen.
Back then we used to have a lot of local b-boys, but nowadays not even one local b-boy is dancing, and this is kind of like sadly for me, because I love to see the people from this culture also dancing, because I'm sure they have something in their soul and their energy to add on from their culture to this dance and represent it.
Sorry. You are too Arab, too Kurdish. No, man, you are too American. It is just that touch of you being way too Dutch. You will never be good enough. Overqualified, but no diploma. So, sorry, you're just too little, too much. You are too brown, too white, too up, too down, too small, too tight, too short, too tall, too buff to fight, too humble, too proud, too quiet, too loud. Hey, you are great, they say, but you can never be better than us, and that is why we copy your stuff. You're too soft, too rough. You can only play the criminal but never be the judge. You're too street, too posh. You're just the wrong blood, you know, cut out of the wrong cloth. So sorry, you will never be good enough. You will never be good enough. Imagine hearing that. Imagine hearing that all your life. And yet, here I stand. You can beat me down as much as you can, but I will never give up. Sorry.
Every time I used to go out to the park and dance with other dancers, my older brother used to come and see me, and he didn't like that every time he sees me, and he asked me to go back home.
كانت في مشاكل عندي في البيت. البيت كان يساعدني اني اتخلص من الطاقة السلبية اللي كانت تجيني من البيت.
As a young kid, growing up, I was a very quiet kid. I didn't talk much. So, to me, breaking gave me a language so I can communicate with other people from different cultures.
I don't have control on anything in my country. I can't change anything. I felt hopeless. I felt helpless. When I'm dancing, I have the sense of control of everything.
So I don't want you to dance. I don't want you to put earring. I don't want you to wear sleeveless shirt. This is not for Iraqi people.
بريكنج خلاني اروح اماكن عمري في حياتي ما فكرت اني اوصل لها، او ما كنت ادري اصلا ان هذا مكان موجود في الكرة الارضية.
What I wanted to learn, I found it within, searching for the right notes. The music, the dance, the art, it wasn't around me, so I had to learn by myself.
خلاني اتحدى نفسي.
That made me more stronger to learn and to dig deep into this culture, because I wanted to live my life the way I want to live.
For me, breaking is the most powerful way to express. I feel I can be the best form of myself and not be distracted by all the bad things that's going on.
ثقافة الهيب هوب ما هي ثقافة أمريكية. ثقافة الهيب هوب هي ثقافة الشعب نفسه.
So I've been called the underdog, the underestimated. You see, I tried to fit in, but I was mostly hated, downgraded. So I picked my pride up and started elevated.
wanted us to lose, but you win some, you lose some. Even if they don't recoup us, this the retribution. My city destitute, so I figured I got to do some. I got a lot to prove, I need the money like Mansa Musa. I got a lot to prove, tell them that I'ma need my Falusa. Said that I couldn't amount to nothing but I'm making moves, They never heard nothing like this that ما في معلوم, Pick up my cousin at Now Street, dropped them محطة الوسط. Fuck niggas talking about, spit it until I get cotton mouth. Bitch, I've been doubted and counted out. I hear the hate and I drown it out. You niggas must be on trying it out. If you wanna see me, I'm bout it now. Circle is full of the realest and really finicky energy not allowed. I see no competition, and we ain't nobody rival. Yeah, all of my bros united. It's looking like Frida Kahlo. It's a million ways to live and a million ways to die, but you gotta pick one to stick to. It's all about survival, nigga. They wanted us to lose, but you win some, you lose some. Even if they don't recoup us, it's the retribution. My city destitute, so I figured I got to do some. I got a lot to prove, I need the money like Mansa Musa.
Fresh off the internet, son of the dial-up, I was too busy wired up, rapping through wireless, hostile environment, living it. Tiring, iron is in my heart and in skin. Was already fit for survival, love the illest, the realest, the I could offer. None of y'all working like I, none of y'all putting it 5 to 9, 9 to 5. Long as I am alive, forever the one I get in my prime, little bitch. I know this shit can take, I know this shit'll take time, and if it ain't mine, I'll do what it takes to make it. I do what I do, consider it. The game love me cause I'm cute, but she letting me hit cause she like I'm a lyricist. Other dudes trying to get next, but she got the it cause she just not into it. She can't get enough, and can't get rid of this dick, it's ridiculous. If you can't get the hit, then it is what it is till it isn't it? Stop all the bickering, brody, you know me the one, had and only the OG, the kid. Raised by the park, I able to walk on a body of water while making a wave. The culture will live regardless of whoever, whatever, whether it is. My brothers will fight until the fight within us is dead. I said what I said.
They wanted us to lose, but you win some, you lose some. Even if they don't recoup us, it's the retribution. My city destitute, so I figured I got to do some. I got a lot to prove, I need the money like Mansa Musa. I just been spreading my legacy steadily, I shoot my shot like a penalty. Come from the dirt like I'm better, we building like Pyramid Pharaoh from Meadow. We just deliver like Uber Eats. Couple of kids from the Middle East. Melody, I know they sour like lemon beat, I see the jealousy.
They try to better me, must be on ketamine or an amphetamine binge. They rollin' with fuck shit, rollin' with punches, dungeon gin. And I don't trust them, something smelling too pungent, I'm not running with them. So fuck out of here, we running the game till we run out of limbs.
I see them, covering it up like a bird cub, man, they're coming out from the dirt, I never get enough. You should've known about to get worked up, it could get heavy like a Sherpa, better buckle up it. And I level up like a surplus, can't fuck with the main circle, nigga, nah. On and on till I get a double R, leave a nigga sweating like an underarm, really boy.
If you got a problem to be the problem, we get it started, dog. Homie, I'm an artist, think it costs you your life if you get brolic, dog. Whatever you call it, dog. You don't wanna start a war with us, our flow is like Molotov. Y'all really don't walk the walk.
They wanted us to lose, but you win some, you lose some. Even if they don't recoup us, it's the retribution. My city destitute, so I figured I got to do some. I got a lot to prove, I need the money like Mansa Musa. They wanted us to lose, but you win some, you lose some. Even if they don't recoup us, it's the retribution. My city destitute, so I figured I got to do some. I got a lot to prove, I need the money like Mansa Musa.
All right, it is so good to be in a room full of people sharing art together. We are so grateful to Manarat Al-Sadiyat, to Farah Bushnak, and everyone here for hosting this event tonight. I'm Bill Bragan, I'm the Executive Artistic Director of the Art Center, and first, let's congratulate our filmmaker right up front, Philip Rachid, aka Soultrotter. Also want to give a big shout out to the creative producer, Thais Edwards, who's hanging out there in the corner. Shout out to Thais. You saw a huge list of credits on the screen, and so many people's work was represented in this work because this is, as Firas said, this is folk dance. This is music and dance and art of the people, and we are really grateful that the Art Center could commission this piece along with the Shabak Festival and to bring it to you. So thank you all for coming and for experiencing this. I do have some thanks on behalf of the Art Center. I want to thank our media partners, Al-Ittihad, Yalla Magazines, The National, Magpie, and Harper's Art Book. I want to thank our sustaining sponsor, GAC, and all of the members of the Art Center who stood by us even while we were completely online, and it's nice to be hybrid. I also want to thank the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to the UAE, including Dawa Buzman, the head of the Economic Department and Deputy Head of Mission, and Niela Naleto. They're here tonight, and we'll hear from him in just a minute. And we are going to have a Q&A that is right now for everyone here in this room. I have so many thoughts about this film. We've got so many of the creators here, and I'm sure you've got lots of thoughts and lots of questions. So we are recording this, and then it's going to go onto our website, and this is going to stay online for 2 more weeks. So please do also spread the word. When we have the panel, you are going to be hearing from our moderator, Reem Salah, who's also the Associate Director of External Relations and Partnerships from the Art Center, as well as an amazing documentary filmmaker herself. And then along with Philip Rachid, we also have Mohammed Kareem, Spiky Flav, and we've got Khalia, a singer-songwriter and composer, and we've got Majid Ahmed, who's the calligraphy artist whose work you see in all the titles. So thank you all for coming, and now from the audience, I want to turn it over to Dawa Buzman.
Well, first of all, a big thank you to NYU AD Art Center just having us here again. It's quite special. It's being here with actually a serious amount of people, watching something that you don't see every day. Definitely not in the last couple of years. Big thank you to Manarat for having us physically here. And of course, a big congratulations to you, Philip, my fellow compatriot. I'm really proud that we're here in the UAE and that we can be proud of what you've made and also where you've come from, what we represent in the Netherlands, that we have this diversity in the Netherlands and that we bring this to the world. We both live in the UAE. We have a past and a future in the Netherlands, and we bring it to the world. And you've shown it here to a wider audience in Abu Dhabi, but also in the wider region. I think it's great to really start opening this conversation about street culture, also in this part of the world. It's very big in the Netherlands, it's growing, and it's becoming a real part of youth culture, but you've been one of the trailblazers, and thank you for that, and thank you for being here and making this beautiful piece of art and showcasing beautiful individuals. Thank you, and I'm really keen to hear more about how you've actually made it. I think we're going to do this in the Q&A, because it wasn't easy this last year and a half, 2 years during COVID, and I think that's one of the amazing things, how he has managed to actually film it with the travel restrictions. So really looking forward to hearing more about the actual practicalities of it. Yeah, and I just want to wrap up by thanking the host here, NYU AD, and also to really happy that this is a part of what we as the Dutch can bring to the region, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm Reem Saleh, the Associate Director for External Relations and Partnerships at the Art Center. And it's the first time I stand in front of an audience in 18 months, so it's very special. It's a very special moment. We will start the discussion with Philippe and members of the team of the film. And please feel free at any moment to raise your hand. There will be someone from our team in the audience to give you the microphone. It's a conversation, so just feel free to ask whenever you feel like it. Please welcome Philippe, Spiky, Ghalia, and Majid. Also, if you feel like asking questions in Arabic, please feel free to do so. I will try my best to translate. Okay. Okay, I will stand. It's okay, it's okay. Thank you, Chris. So I will keep this with you. Thank you. So before we start, so that the audience gets to know who's who, we know Philippe. So if each one of you can tell us a little bit about the role in the film or the project as a whole.
How about we get the producer starting? What do you guys think?
Sorry, start with what? I was looking into the room.
So we were doing a little bit of
Seeing
an introduction.
recognizable faces.
And a little bit of an introduction on who's who.
Okay, gotcha.
Some of you has been on the big screen and
Yeah.
you're familiar and others not.
So on the right of me, left for you is Spiky. Yeah, give it up. We know each other for 12 years now? 10 years? 11 years? Yeah, so we met through hip-hop culture in Holland at the biggest event, IBE, in the world, almost, one of the biggest events in the world. And we met there, and we kept on building ever since. And I'm very happy that, you know, we're still here, because we were talking about a dream, and this is one of the dreams coming true. Majid Ahmed from Saudi, UAE based, very talented artist, graffiti writer, and a good friend, and I really am honored. You didn't see him in front of the camera, but he's responsible for creating the logo in Arabic classic old school calligraphy. He will tell you more about it. And on my left, a really beautiful, talented singer from Alain and from Syria. We never met, but over the phone and through Zoom. And it's an honor and a pleasure having you here today. And she has a beautiful voice, and she is part of the soundtrack of the album that's coming out as well. So this is just a teaser of what is happening next, and that project is called The Main Circle, but we'll talk about that later on. So please give it up for Galia.
So since you mentioned The Main Circle, I'm going to start with this because I was thinking about it. This is the third time I watched the film, and every time I discover something new. And then I was like, oh, there's The Main Circle 7.82 at the end, and it's also part of the lyrics. Can you tell us what's The Main Circle about?
Everybody's wondering, what's the main circle? What's the 7.83? Okay, so the main circle has many layers. Have you watched Meet the Fuckers? This is the circle of trust. Well, it's a little joke, but the main circle actually stands, it's a b-boy terminology, right? When you have a circle of dancers and you have the dark circle where, you know, people basically practice or they kind of hang together, but then you have a main circle is where the heads, who are the veterans in the game, are coming together, and you can't just step into that cipher. If you're going to step into that circle, you better come correct and have an understanding of what's going on and get part of that energy and give some energy back that builds upon what is happening in that circle. So it's a give and take kind of vibration, right? On the dance floor through music. One of the things, life is a circle, right? So it has many layers. The 7.83 in our COVID time is based on the Schumann resonance. And what is the Schumann resonance? It's an experiment by a German professor called Schumann that proved that the atmosphere of the world has a heartbeat. And that resonance is 7.83. And if we as human beings are not in touch with nature or with other humans, it does something to us. And during COVID, we all noticed that, right? We need to be exchanging energies. We need to hear music. We need to dance, right? So this is what the 7.83 stands for. Plus, in all the hip-hop and graffiti stuff, you always tag your name with a certain number. And I thought that would be a great way to kind of represent a spiritual and a cultural and a streetwise logo.
Wow, that's a great discovery, actually, especially about the heartbeat. When I was watching the film, I was wondering if it's someone else who did it, it would have been completely different, coming from a place of knowledge, you yourself being a hip-hop artist, and you know this world from within. How did this affect you as a director while making the film? How did it affect the content and also aesthetically?
Great question. I'm going to pass that to Spiky. I want to hear from the artist first, how it was to be part of that before if you don't mind. Yeah?
Sure.
Yeah, what's up? The whole experience during the film and making the film, it was really great experience because here in the Middle East, we have a lot of great talent and great artists, but they never had that platform to showcase their talent. And I feel that we blessed that, you know, we had our meeting back in Holland with Philip, and like he mentioned, we had some kind of like talk about it, and I told him come down to the Middle East, and he came, and always we've been talking about making something to showcase it to the people and let them know about each visual artist, more like inside about their lifestyle and what they pass through, because people always just see like things happening already in front of them. But this time, Philip focused more inside the artist, and the whole experience was really amazing. I learned a lot of things in it, and we found a lot of obstacles on the way while we're doing that. But alhamdulillah, we made it, and it's already happy here on the big screen. Yeah, that's it.
So I want to add on that. For me, it was very important that it's an artistic kind of collaboration, right? And like Spikey said, I mean, it's not like we had a big budget or anything, and we created this. I was just talking to Dawa. We created this in one of the most difficult times in my history in life, right? We managed to get some funding. We managed to make a film, and we managed to get it out there, and we managed to connect virtually and create something that hopefully makes an impact. And it's the secret, I think, of coming from an scene perspective is you know what rhythm is, right? You know when certain moves, because that was the story with the editor, you know when certain moves need to be on a certain part of the beat, right? And it's simple things like that. The close-up on the sneakers, right? Normally when you see breaking, how do we see it? Or how do we see hip-hop? We see the backflip in the commercial, right? We see a little graffiti spray. Whoa, look at me being cool. And then funky dances, yeah, with a flashy light. All cool, but what is behind that person, I think, is more interesting than anything else. Yeah.
I would like also to hear from ماجد. ماجد قد ايه مهم انك تكون عم تشتغل بمشروع مع شخص بيفهم بالهيب هوب، وقد ايه كان هيدا الشيء مهم لإلك؟
Assalamu alaikum. This is Majd Ahmed from Mecca. Thank you for everybody for coming, and الصراحة I will speak Arabic because my language English is 50-50. الصراحة شيء ممتاز، والفيلم أتكلم عن أشياء مرة كثير نتكلم عليها نحن بالأصح يعني في الخليج عندنا الفنانين الخليجيين، وفي أما من ناحية العمل اللي نشتغل مع واحد يعني المنتاليتي حقته لا ما هي منتاليتي عارفة كيف، هذا شيء يريح كثير يعني في الموضوع هذا. أما الشغل مع فيليب is nice على كده، وبرضه يعني الصراحة فيلم شيء كبير بالنسبة لنا وبالنسبة للفنانين في الميدل إيست، إنه في هيب هاب عندنا، ليش نطلع برا؟ عندنا ثقافة، عندنا كل شيء، بس نحولها، بس هو اللي ناقص نحولها من English to Arabic عشان الناس يتقبلوها أكثر بس.
Shukran Majid. So in brief, Majid is talking is how it's very important to be working with someone who has the same mentality, and it was great, and he loves the film, and he loves working with Philip, and he also wishes that there is hip hop here, and it's nice to kind of highlight it, and at the same time, why not do it also in Arabic? Mahik. On another note, I know that Ghalia, this is the first time that you watched the film. So I would like to learn about your first impressions after watching it on the big screen.
How's everybody doing tonight? I just want to say I met Philip over the phone as well as Thais, and first meeting was incredible. I like instantly knew that these people were, you know, they were into raw material and they're driven by passion, and that's what got me to, you know, work with them in the first place. So good job. I'm proud of you, proud of Thais as well. First impression, I've got my mom and my friend here. We actually really loved it. I was hoping for a bit more, you know, I was getting comfortable and I'm like, damn it, I hate you for that. But that's really good. I love it so much and I can't wait for the album to come out. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, I'm happy that you got to watch it on the big screen the first time, because in those times it's been really difficult to be able to experience that. You can always ask questions, so please just at any moment, if you have anything, just raise your hands and take part in the conversation. We already have a question.
Mr. Rick. Can I, before we go there, I just would like to thank also, I know, like, Thais, can we stand up a little bit, please? Again. She has been here since a year long, helping out and doing all the production work, so thank you very much, Thais. Really glad to have you next to me.
Well, I guess on behalf of everybody here, I just got to say that it was an amazing visual experience. It was an amazing artistic experience. And for people like us who don't really know much about your culture, thank you very much for putting it on the screen. But I have to ask, as difficult as the pandemic was, and it was on all of us, and as fellow artists, we understand out of creativity comes misery. So on what kind of level did the pandemic impact this project and inspire you artists to create this? And I leave this question to everybody, to all the artists. Thank you.
Thank you, a valid question. So I started my company during the start of the pandemic. We already started filming I already did a test shoot a year before that, just to show and prove the concept. And then we didn't had an official go yet, but I wanted to show and prove that we can do this. And then the pandemic hit, and it was tough. It was tough, you know. The first 10 minutes of a test we shot at Spikey's house. He opened up his house for us. I had another collaborator from Spain who was based here, the TV heads, and that was his art direction. His name is Hise, really talented B-boy also. And creatively, I wanted to show and prove what is possible. Not so much as a story yet, but get used to the camera, right? And but it's freaking difficult, and it's hard doing it during COVID, because we filmed in Bahrain, we filmed in Jeddah, and we filmed in Beirut, and we filmed in Sharjah, and we filmed in Ras Al Khaimah, and Dubai. How do you do that? Fujairah, yeah. You just have to do it. You find people that are on the same tip, right? So thanks to, let's say, for example, Bahrain, right? Also, that cameraman was from the scene, and I know his work, and he goes back and forth to Bahrain, right? So you think logically, when is the next time you're going to Bahrain? Can we plan a shoot, right? And you coordinate this like this. In Jeddah, it was more difficult because I had to research who would do the style that we are doing, right? Because I had a visual style in mind, and I wanted everybody to kind of fit that profile. And the same thing for Lebanon, right? So you remotely use your Zoom, and you give directions, and you do the interviews through Zoom, and that was it from my side. And the very interesting part was also music-wise, right? We had a few conversations, and the brief was, your first question was, what do you have in mind, right? So I said, okay, it needs to be about empowering, about following your dreams. And how did you take it from there?
Well, I guess the second question I asked was, how do you want people to feel, Philip? And he paused for like a good 5 minutes. And then he was like, I wish we met in person. And then, yeah, I agree, it's pretty hard, but however, creativity does not cause, what did you say a while ago?
Misery.
Out
of misery comes creativity. You meant the opposite, yeah.
Right. Right, yeah. Yeah, I guess this is where misery came in handy. The COVID thing actually got us closer all together. I just met those guys, by the way, but I've heard about them a lot. And talking over Zoom about this whole project was, it was hard to keep up because you're trying to imagine and trying to visualize how this thing's going to come together. But, yeah, I guess that's true. Misery can do beautiful things sometimes.
What it almost had for us music-wise, and I don't know how that is for you, but, we had a lot of conversation with Ihab, also a really good friend of mine, very talented composer, working on the bigger project, the Main Circle as well. But music-wise, music is therapy, right? When we make music, go on all night and create stuff because it gets you through the hard times and the misery. And it feels just fantastic to do that in a time where you have nothing else. And we need that as human beings. It feeds our soul, right? Art feeds our soul, and that's why we're here.
سبايكي وماجد حابب تجاوب على السؤال عن بوجود كوفيد هل حسيت انه من خلال هيدي الصعوبة كان مهم انه تشتغل اكثر مثلا او انك تكون كرييتيف اكثر؟
اي صح كانت هواية صعوبة انه يعني كانت ايجابية. It was like hard, like I say, positive side in it and like a dark side on it also because dance as an artist, like we do it when we're happy, right? And the whole energy on earth was kind of different for everybody when COVID hit. And we tried to pass it as a challenge and make it happen. And plus we're supposed to have a performance with the screening, that us actual dancing, and then there will be like screening happening. But because of the COVID that we couldn't open it this year, and maybe next year, inshallah, we can do it. And plus, I have lost my job with COVID. A lot of people did that. So my sisters seeing me dancing, and they think I'm happy. But they think, yo, you gotta find a job. You gotta go look for a job now, and leave this for a while, and until you find a job, and then come back to it. But it's kind of meditation for me while I was doing it, because it makes me happy when I do it. And it was a very hard experience for everybody with the pandemic. So I think everybody passed through this, not just me. You know what I mean? And yeah, that's it. I'll give it to Majid.
COVID. Everybody stay in the home. والله. بالنسبة لي أنا ما كان في مشكلة كبيرة بس في المشاريع الخارجية. هو في كوفيد في السنتين هذه مسكت أكبر مشروع تقريبا في دبي. بالنسبة لي كان خارجي outside project. اثنين برضو في كوفيد صراحة كانت عندي مشروعين من أكبر مشاريع يعني لي شخصيا. ما كان في فرق كبير بالنسبة لي أنا في العمل. بالرغم من كوفيد أعطاني إنجاز أكبر يعني من الأيام العادية لما ما كان في كوفيد. الحمد لله.
For Majid, it was not much of a challenge. On the contrary, during the pandemic, he got two of his biggest jobs personally. So it was quite good for him. Question here.
Can I ask two questions?
Sure, please go ahead.
Yeah, so first question, Philip. How did the film project change from the original conception, your pitch, to the final edit? And then secondly, because you have been engrossed in hip hop culture like most of your life, did you gain any insights into hip hop through the process of making the film?
Let me answer it like this. You always start out with a great plan, right? And then reality hits in. And then you kind of see what are you able to do within the form of what you have and during the time you have. So I would say everything in life changes. And as a filmmaker, you have to understand that it's an organic process. Yes, there's been moments of frustrations, for sure, because I didn't get what I wanted. And at the same time, you have to rationalize, okay, you know what, there's still time, and it's just, focus on the next thing. Certain scenes didn't even, happen that I had in mind. I wanted more fictional and poetic scenes in between. And then when you're editing, you see, oh, but we actually have a lot, right? And then with the editor, you go like, okay, well, let's tell the story the way it flows right now. So it's really important in filmmaking to understand that, like I said, it's an organic process. And I'm so happy with Metha, who sat by me for 20 days and helped edit the film to organize the footage and create the story. Because as a maker, the only thing when you're heavily involved, right, in your vision and process, sometimes you just see the mistakes, right? And your own self-reflection, and oh, I'm getting bold, oh, I'm getting old, and like all these things, and then you forget about what actually is there. And that's why it's so good to have somebody else then edit your thing, because they see it with a clear view. To answer your other question, coming from a hip-hop background, the insights I got making this, I've made a lot of hip-hop portraits before for TV, Dutch TV. But the insight it gave me in this region, if I can put your question like that, Dave? Yeah? It gave me insight more about this culture in the region. And what I see is that it's young, and the birthplace of hip-hop was New York, right? And it came from destroyed neighborhoods where children had no future, and they were often either Puerto Rican or African American, and they wanted to have a voice in society. Now, if you look at this, beautiful crowd here on stage, we have somebody from Saudi who's in the UAE. We have somebody from Iraq who's in the UAE. I'm Iraqi Kurdish, my mom Bulgarian. I was safely raised in Holland, and I live in the UAE. We have Galia from Syria, who was born and raised here, or raised here in the UAE. So the UAE has been a beautiful haven for people who didn't have the chance to safely grow up in the homeland, to express themselves through arts. And I think hip-hop and street culture is so important because it gives the voice. It's an indigenous art of the streets, if I can say it like that. We have our cultural background, but then we have the indigenous arts of the streets, and that's what we do.
Bill, do you want to ask the next question?
Sure. This was actually a really great lead-in, because I'm thinking we have so many artists, and you're working in different forms, and you've come from all over. And near the end of the film, there's a little bit of a challenge about sort of, we want to see more of the artists from here. And there's sort of this sense of people who've come with all their different histories and made the UAE their home, and now you're creating art. And I'm curious, as artists who are devoted to being here, what do you need to see in the scene? What's the next things that you as artists need to keep growing what is clearly already kind of happening and flourishing?
So just to give a little backstory on just to provide context, I started music when I was 19, and at that age, you would want a proper label, you know, a team you can trust, where you can get into copyrights and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure they relate because they're artists too. What I do is I sing, I produce, so on. So at 19, when I released my first song, I felt a bit, you know, paranoid, right? Because there's YouTube, there's Spotify, there's, you know, right? There's Pandora, so on and so forth. And these organizations are pretty big, and they're scary if you really want to dig deep and you want to make good numbers, like, you know, hit, aim high. So I would say what we lack here in the past four years that I've been releasing music, unfortunately, I had to sign with labels outside because I didn't see any sort of, you know, local support. Not to mention that we have great venues. We have the community right here as we're talking. But in terms of, you know, law and, you know what I'm trying to say, like legitimate labels, right, that could like protect your rights and stuff when you want to get published, that we should work on. That is what we should, you know, start working on, all of us together. Other than that, the people are here. The country is very supportive. You know, the multiculturalism is insane, and that's very inspiring for me personally. I'm pretty sure Philip feels the same way. Yeah, that's it. What do you guys think?
So the question was, what do we need and what is missing for artists to grow, right?
Like talking about it more like in a street artist, maybe like a spot for all the artists to meet up in one spot and maybe showcase their art, and maybe in the future can be as academy, a dance school, and can teach like dancing for the boys and girls, and also graffiti they can learn, and writing rhymes, more socialing with the artists, like a spot for them to sit and socialize. More party jams for the dancers. Yeah, this is how I see it on my side.
ماجد، شو بتحس ناقص أو ممكن يكون موجود بالبلد حتى تساعدك كفنان تثقل موهبتك أكثر؟
Here in UAE? Okay. Of course, there's no more local artists, graffiti artists here. Only street artists, I think. أعتقد نبغى زيادة local artists. نحاول أنا بتكلم مجال الجرافيتي والستريت آرت. تقريبا أنا الوحيد اللي يسوي يعني مساحات كبيرة أربك جرافيت ستايل في الإمارات هنا، وأنا أتمنى إني أشوف ناس أكثر، مو كاليغرافي. أنا ما بتكلم في فرق بين الكاليغرافي وفي فرق بين الجرافيتي. أنا أتمنى إني أشوف more local artists في المجال هذا، ويشوفوا اسم الموسيقى، يشوفوا الدانسينج، يشوفوا الجرافيتي، ايش هو الجرافيتي، ايش الفرق بين الجرافيتي ودروس، اشياء كثير مره مفرع بين اي مجال، ان كان موسيقى وان كان دانسينج وان كان جرافيتي. ففي مجالات مره كثيره ومجالات مره مشعبه. اتمنى ان الناس تطلعوا على الاشياء ذي، لانه هنا صراحه اللي لاحظته ناس كثير يمشوا يخشوا مثلا دانسينج او موسيقى اللوكل، ففي فتره معينه يوقف فيها يستسلم. فهذا صراحه لو ما بلش من البدايه افضل له، يعني ضيع وقته احسه. فلا، استمراريه، ولازم نوعي الفنانين الجدد والناس والجيل الجديد ايش الشيء ذا اللي نقدمه. ده شيء مو تخريب، مو اشياء عقلة فايده. ولا يفكروا برضو نتكلم في امور كثير، يعني انهم يفكروا على طول بزنس دايركت. I do graffiti, I wanna make money direct. It's not like that. أشياء كثيرة بدأت توعي أصلاً هي، أو نوعي الناس أكثر، زي مثلاً اليوم كذا ونتكلم، شيء حلو يعني. شكراً.
Shukran, Majid. So I'll start with the end. He was talking about awareness and how important awareness is for the artists so that they know what it is like. And this type of conversations is very important. And focusing more on graffiti, he said we hope to have more graffiti artists. He's one of the few who is a graffiti artist on a large scale. And one of the issues is that there are many people who start a discipline, if it's graffiti or dance or music, but they do not continue. So continuity is also one of the challenges. We have 2 more questions. Yes, over here, please.
Hi, quick question. So any of you can answer it, but I think this is for Philip, basically. I was just wondering, how hard was it to find the artists that you went with? And what was the process? How did you find them as well?
Yeah. It was not hard to find the artists because the scene is very small. Google search hip hop. No. So even the global scene is very small. The in crowd knows each other, right? And again, that comes back to the theme of the main circle. The names go around, right? And you have to earn your street cred, right? And we, with the East, also had discussions and bill, like, okay, who do we think fits the bill? Everybody has skills, right? And there's a lot of street artists out there. But for me, it was important that we see it from a cultural perspective. Who has devoted themselves not only from a commercial perspective, right? Did the gigs and et cetera, but also have been responsible for pushing the movement forward, right? And I based, the first criteria was that. Who has helped shape the regional hip hop scene? And that was in, Spikey has been an influential person here in the UAE. Dusty has been an influential b-boy in Bahrain. And Feraz was very influential in Jeddah and Saudi. And Lana is, for me, a case apart because I don't know any other B-girl that is born and raised in this region that still breaks and on that level, right? I know girls from Morocco, I know girls from Algeria, you know what I mean, France, but they were not born and raised here, right? And are that skilled. So she's an example for this region as well. So that's criteria number 1. Criteria number 2 was, what is the story you want to tell as a filmmaker, right? I wouldn't, and this was often one of the biggest challenges, I didn't want to have, look at me being cool. Right? What hip hop is. I'm the king. Yeah. No. Forget about that. Let's get rid of all of that. Let's look at the human being. Right? And having style and dressing up and mixing things is part of who we are. But beyond the stereotyping, I wanted to break down the facade of the caricature. Yeah, right? So that we see the story and be dare to be vulnerable, because hip-hop is a very macho, ego-driven culture, and we need that because it's the only way for us to survive and to grow, because nobody else believes in us, right? It's also the downfall. You get me? When you have too much ego, you stand in your own way, right? So these were all the things that I was kind of looking for. How can we work together in a long process? Because it's not one day shoot, right? We're here now already, like we started a year and a half ago, you know, like, and we're still here. It has ups, it has downs, but it's like a tree. You're part of it, you know, the same tree. We're all different leaves and different branches, but we're the same tree, right? So this for me was all the motivation and reason behind it.
3 more questions.
Hi everyone. So my question is a point of reflection, I would say. So in your film, Lana's mother is saying that she can have a first job and then she can be dancing on the side. So my question is about the silver lining of your movie. I want to understand how you and the whole team can recommend to people how to take it as a career and as you know, a job and not a passion because we understand that during our whole life, and whoever is an artist is spending his first part of his life working and then realizing what is his passion and making a living out of it.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about it. I can go on for days, but I would love to hear some other people. But I think there's, like Firas said, right? There's a distinguish between being an artist and being a professional artist, right? And making a career out of it. Here, we first have to create an awareness that we're artists. Because we're still being seen as these little kids that roll over the floor and have nothing to say and get a job and be an engineer, right? And then it goes for filmmaking, it goes for music, it goes for dancing especially. So that awareness needs to be created first, and especially for street artists, because there is no platform that we can show that we're professional, right? For music, mostly there is. Dances, not really. Graffiti, I would say also a little bit more. DJs, always is there, right? So that needs to be done. To answer your question as well, Bill, we need to show that we can create art. And in Holland, like Douwe already said in the introduction, this process has grown. Our generation had people before us that guided us, first of all, in a direction. And if you were bad, you would get cola in your face. I would get cola in my face in the sense of I was dancing bad on the dance floor. Get out of the scene, right? You're being guided. If you want to be part of it, you own your skills. Better be good at it. Better be dedicated. It's not a fad. It's not a trick, right? So show your dedication. From there on, at the end, people from our generation now own clothing companies that are global. New York, right? Amsterdam, Pata, for example, is a huge brand. I remember when they had the first Fat Beats record store in Amsterdam, right? An example, creative directors or art directors come from the graffiti side. I know graffiti legends who are designing cities right now. Yeah? From a dancing perspective, it's always been kind of, yeah, you can be abstract in the theater. Right? Sorry, but this is how we're being shown, and we want to be appreciated for what we do. So that, in short, sorry. Let me give it to you.
Yeah, we can't relate, buddy. We're into music. That's only the dance people. No, but I understand. Again, we're all artists, and it's because we're passion-driven, and because it doesn't matter really if you want to, make money out of this thing, or you just want to keep it as a hobby. It's really the attention that you want, because you obviously have something to say, right? You want to express. But yeah, it's what he said. I just want to add one more point. It's really the key is patience, right? If you, like, for instance, in my case, if I release one song and I don't see a lot of, good feedback, I'm not gonna lay back and, act like a victim, and I'll go like, oh, screw it, let me go and be a doctor or whatever. But yeah, patience worked very well in my case. It took me 4 years. We're celebrating 14 million. It's great. And I think with dance, because I love watching dance. I'm not good at it, horrible. But I do believe that we need a community of dancers here, because when artists want to make music videos, like for instance Coldplay came all the way here and they shot a video, right? Everybody's familiar with Coldplay, right? They shot a video in Dubai, and I happen to know the manager who was actually there, managing the entire set at D3. And the guy was like, oh yeah, they brought their entire dance crew all the way from the US. And he was like, what's the point? We have like great dancers in here. Why wouldn't you hire any, right? So that's what Philip was talking about. It's really putting out your stuff. It's, playing that role and being on the street and actually dancing and putting all that, shy and whatever issues you've got. Yeah, pretty much.
We ran out of time, but I'm just curious because, this conversation is very important, and for someone like me who's not really familiar with the world of hip-hop, it was an eye-opener and on so many levels. What's after It Ain't Where You From? Because we don't want this to stop.
Individually or as...
Is it part of a bigger project? How... How do you want to continue the conversation? You know what I'm talking about, Philippe.
Inshallah, you never know what tomorrow brings, but it's part of a bigger project, and it's part of the main circle. And like Spikey already kind of gave away, film is just one part of it. Music is another part of it. It's a transmedia project. We're doing a live piece, hopefully next year, where we will present all the elements of music, dance, visuals, and spoken word together in one presentation. And I hope to see you there as well. Yeah, I would say that is kind of the idea. What do you think?
So, do you want to say anything? Anyone wants to say anything before we wrap this really beautiful conversation, Spikey?
I mean, also like after thanking Philip, we'd like to thank also the NYU to give us that choice and platform to do that and to showcase and to bring it to you guys and see it. And looking forward for more chances to make and build something like that in future. And thank you all for being here to support our film. Thank you.
Alia, Ajid, do you want to say anything? Of course.
شكرا لكل واحد اليوم جاء. Thank you for everybody صراحة. ونتمنى إنه الأشياء هذه تصير أكثر وأكثر في يويس. وسبورت حق الكوميونيتي. وطبعا برضو شكرا لفيليب للفيلم اللي سواه صراحة جدا ممتاز، إنه جاب شيء من السعودية، جاب شيء من العالم العربي. إن شاء الله أتمنى إنه الفيديو يكبر والمشروع يصير أكثر رؤية للناس، يشوفوه كيف يشوفوا الثقافة اللي نحن ماشيين عليه، اللي هو طريق مو غلط. نحن ماشيين على طريق شو اسمه طريق فني أكثر، ولكن هي السمعة أكثر تضر. ولكن شكرا للناس اللي صدقونا.
Majid wants to thank you all for being here and for being so supportive. And he wishes to have more conversation around this, to have more awareness. And he's very happy with the film, and he hopes that it becomes much bigger, and that there's nothing wrong about being an artist, and to change that reputation. And it's really beautiful to have all these artists from the region in this project, and hopefully to change the reputation of what being an artist is.
I just want to express my gratitude for this event, for you, Thais, and everyone behind this great project, and thank you all for coming out. We probably all have one message, one thing in common is that we are here to inspire and get inspired and spread love and share what we love with people. So you do that, because we're doing that already. Yeah, that's it. Have a good night. Sorry?
Can you sing?
Sing. I think I need a guitar or something. Do you have anything on you? Can you like hum at least? Yeah, give me some percussion. ترجع الأيام يا الله شو عبالي عيد اللي كان لو ليلة من الليالي ترجع الأيام يا الله شو عبالي عيد اللي كان لو ليلة من الليالي. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inspiring us and for teaching us so much about a world that many of us had no idea about, and for this movement, as Philippe always calls it, and hope to see you more often in supporting artists, such talented artists like them. Thank you.